So please tell me about yourself.
Yeah. Hi sir. As you know, my name is Shantanu Ajay Joshi.
Mm-hmm.
I have completed my graduation in 2019 in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I joined Infosys in October 2019 itself. I worked there for around 2.5 years, and later on, I joined Deloitte India. Here also, I have completed almost 2.5 years. I have near to 5 years of overall experience, out of which mostly I have worked in Python development
Mm-hmm.
and data driven and automation projects mainly. Briefly, I have worked on AWS as well. I have recently, for past 2.5, 3 years, I have been working on Linux systems as well. Apart from that, I have been working on MS SQL Server, uh, which I have around four plus years of experience. Recently, I've worked on one of the time series database, that is KDB Plus. It is a database which is mainly used in finance domain.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and related to DevOps, I have been working on Git Bash to maintain the versioning of our development. And for a very brief period, I have worked on Confluence as well as Jira tracking as well.
Okay. So my first question regarding to AWS. So how do you start deployment and other things through the AWS? You have any idea?
AWS, sir, I have worked on glue jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So usually we used to create glue jobs for a test and for UAT and dev environment
Mm-hmm.
manually. But for actual prod deployment, we used to use Jenkins jobs to deploy the code base, and that was separately handled by our DevOps team. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much exposure on that part, although I have worked on the Git repository part to maintain the
Code
code,
version.
the latest copy of the code.
Mm-hmm. So just one moment. So you're telling about GitLab, AWS. Cloud, inside the cloud, Lambda, Glue. Lambda, what is Lambda?
Lambda is a service where you can run your Python shells.
Okay.
So in our case, we used to create a trigger for our glue jobs through Lambda service.
Okay, 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 great, great. So I will ask regarding to Python questions. So Python, Python how manage the memory management. Do you have idea about that?
Memory management, I mean, not the exact algorithms, but yeah, I know about the IO operations as well as the memory operations that I have worked on in our recent data migration project,
Mm-hmm.
where we used to manage a lot of IO related IO related things concurrently, and we used to manage the memory. Basically, what we used to do is we used to migrate the historical CSV files data into AWS database Athena. So here we basically created a strategy to efficiently manage the cores of the server as well as the memory part. So in that we used to parallelly read the. Firstly, we used to split the file using some Linux command through Python
Mm-hmm.
code. So file used to be in gigs, in compressed format. So let's say 25 to 30 gigs of file in compressed format used to expand to 150 to 200 GB. So which was difficult to manage in the server's memory itself while we read it. Or
No,
there were some.
no, Santanu, actually I'm asking about Python, because of Python you code running and make writing code running, compiling. So in that scenario, suppose you have your own machine, you have tools, so you are
Hmm,
running program. So in that cases, how memory will occupation, release, and what kind of memory is utilized by Python. So that things I am asking about that. I am not asking about AWS and other things.
yeah.
AWS basically, if you have deployed code in AWS, it is performance is going down, so it will take care by the AWS, because of AWS will increase the memory and all other thing based on the user requirement. So that is the different thing. But question here about uh, Python. Python basically it is also you writing code and something. So in that cases, how it is managed by the Python, what, how much, and what kind of memory will be utilized by. Suppose this is object oriented, right?
Yeah.
Python is object oriented, so definitely have object some things. So how to manage? So these things I am actually asking. So
Okay.
suppose,
So
yeah, please.
hmm,
You want to tell something?
yeah, yeah, sir. Go ahead if you want to give some scenario.
A scenario actually I have given already. Suppose you have written the code, okay?
Hmm,
You
hmm,
want to run.
hmm,
So you know Python no have on compiler, right?
yeah,
Compiler
yeah,
is also required. So compiler is a native library used to compile. Python will convert into the some binary. So how do binary, because of native compiler will read only the binary format data.
yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah.
how, yes.
So so basically, Python is an object-oriented and interpreted language.
Mm-hmm.
It will convert the whatever lines we write in Python script. It will convert into a machine readable format, binary format,
Mm-hmm.
and that format. Let's say we have declared some XYZ variables in the Python code. So it will take all the variables into memory until the object is until the object is instantiated, or the attributes are passed. It will hold it in memory until the whole script is executed. But here, what we
So
can do is.
I will tell you one scenario actually you asking. Suppose you take the example of Java, okay?
Hmm,
Java utilize heap, stack, right?
hmm,
Native, method area, cache memory. So lot of this memory have. So these all five kind of memory utilize at the compile time and run time, right? So the same thing, only runtime use the stack and heap, but compile time it will use to different kind of memory, native, method area. Okay, so these things, this type of I am expecting in Python how it is used. So in Python, you know py.py.pyc. What is difference here?
EY,
Dot
can you repeat?
py means if you are writing Python code, so that file
Hmm,
will be stored with the dot py
Not
instance.
pay.
So
Hmm.
similar is a py and pyc. What is difference here?
EY and PYC.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Uh, So, not sure about PY. It is IPYC. One thing when we code it in the Jupyter notebook, so it usually does not store the data into .py file. It stores it in I.ipyc
No,
something like.
no, you're not giving the proper answer. Py, you have Py, what will use? Because of this is the interpreted language, right?
Hmm.
So it will store in .pyc. So this is will compile and store in the same format. But during the runtime, because of it is interpreted
Hmm.
runtime pyc convert into the pyc. PYC runtime will need only binary code. So that's the same file will convert into the PYC, Python compile
O-
file
Okay, at
this
the
way
runtime.
at the runtime. This is the difference.
Okay.
That's why we are saying this Python is a scripting language and you write and run.
Yeah.
So PYC used during the runtime because of runtime binary format is required. But in Java, before going to run, it will use to dot class file. Compiler will convert into Java to dot file, high level to low level. So every runtime environment will take the file as a low level. Low level means binary format. So this is the thing about that. This is the simple thing, PYE and PYC. So you know Python have, how do you write Scalable code in Python? You have any idea?
No.
No, Scalable code you are writing Scalable. Scalable is just minimum occupied memory and minimum occupied, no give any warning or something.
Okay, so it's I mean a plain simple code without any logging or any warning as such, or any uh, try except block.
Yes, suppose you have some input like that, dictionary and this kind of thing, distributed system. So efficient code means if you are using data structures or something, use the caching, distributed system manner, you write the code. So this is like that. Suppose Apache Spark, you know Apache Spark can be used in Python, and these things are there. So that is the questions about. You know tuple and a list. What is
Yeah.
difference in this?
Yeah. So list is a mutable data type, and tuple is immutable. We cannot change the objects or the elements in that tuple.
Mm.
Whereas in list we can add or delete the elements, existing elements,
Mm.
and mostly tuples are used where we need to basically define a static elements list, wherein in list we can perform various operations, like if we need to add new, let's say we are performing some operations and we need to add new elements to a to our variable or our data type. So in that case list is widely used, and list is also a helping part when we create the data frames as well. We can assign list directly to a variable into a data frame, and we can create columns out of those list in the while defining the data frames, pandas data frames.
you know Python uh, cloning mechanism in Python?
Uh, the shallow copy or the deep copy part, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we can basically copy either there is a shallow copy wherein you copy the reference of a particular variable, and there is a deep copy where you directly copy the uh, value into another variable, wherein if you change the value of that particular variable where you have copied it, it will change the value of the original variable as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wherein in shallow copy, you if you change the value further on, it won't affect the original variable.
Okay. Okay. So you know Python numpy, you know about numpy?
NumPy package, you mean?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So I have used NumPy not on extensive level, but the arrays in that.
Okay. You know where we exactly use to pandas?
Yeah. Yeah. So in I mean, if you have a CSV file or a file which has column and uh, row and column based input,
Mm-hmm.
there we can use pandas. It's data frames which are widely used as a two-dimensional data type, wherein it will be showcased in a table format, and we can do various operations similar to our SQL tables. We can perform various operations on that data frame, pandas data frame.
Pandas data frame means this is used for AI applications, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is dictionary?
Dictionary is a key value based data type wherein you can define a key which will be unique and values to it. We usually create dictionaries if we want to maintain some config into the code. We can refer the key and get the value for that particular key. So it would be a unique key pair value. Yeah.
Okay. So you know the global variable and how many types of variable used in Python?
So one is local variable which we define it in a function or in a method, and one is global variable which
Mm-hmm.
is defined before execution of class or before any method, which is global in space, and we can basically refer it anywhere in the code, whereas
Mm-hmm.
variable local variable cannot be accessed outside the code, but we can what happens in global variable is we can only reference it. We cannot change the value of global variable inside a method or function. Wherein if we use a global keyword while using that global variable inside a method, we can change its value. There is uh, another attribute which is private attribute, as we call as we use it in object oriented programming. These private attributes are instantiated whenever object is created for a class. This uh, private attributes are defined by double underscore self dot double underscore the variable name and its value,
Mm-hmm.
wherein it could be accessed within that particular class, but it those cannot be either changed, or either we can't access it outside that class. Only if we want to access the value of that variable, we need to create a methods get or set methods wherein we can either fetch it or either we can change the value of that private attribute.
Okay. So you know split method.
Uh, Sorry, sir, I didn't get you.
Split. Split.
Not.
Split you don't know. This is the simple
Uh,
thing. Means you
I
want
am
to any string you want to split by particular
okay.
variable.
Split. Okay. Okay. Split function. Okay. Okay. So in split function, what we can do is in parentheses we can give basically, let's say, x equal to split whatever variable we have. Uh, uh, Dot split, and within the parenthesis we can give a identifier where we want to split the string.
Pickling and unpickling. What is difference between?
uh, Pickling and unpickling,
Hmm.
no, not sure about it.
Okay. So how do you unit test do in Python?
So in Python we have this unit test package
Hmm.
where we can import that unit test package, and whatever methods or functions we are writing there, we can use assert keyword, and the operation in front of it, whatever operation we are doing, and it performs testing kind of environment. It creates a testing kind of environment, and it will provide you with uh, the uh, the output, or its uh, what I mean to say is what the particular instance is into by using that assert keyword.
And multi-threading you have used in Python, multi-threading concept.
Not exactly multi-threading, I would say. Multi-processing. I know the concept. If you want me to explain it,
Yeah, yeah. Please explain.
yeah. So multi-threading is basically a process has multiple threads,
Hmm.
and a process is an individual process in which we have multiple threads, and we can run multiple for each operation we can run via a single thread. So we can concurrently use multi-threading. Through multi-threading we can we can perform IO operations parallelly. But in Python there is a limitation until 3.11 version, I guess, where you have the global interpreter lock, which will allow for a single process, it will only allow one thread to execute. So because of that, if we want to perform IO operations parallelly, what we can do is we can use multi-threading, which will create multiple processes in memory, and either it's IO based task, input output based task, or it's a memory related task. So we can perform it via multi-processing.
So for API writing, which framework are you using, Flask or Django?
Uh, so uh, uh, so one of the recent, I have not widely used Flask or Django. I have worked on Fast API.
Fast API. So how it is work?
So Fast API is basically, if we unlike Django and Flask, which are widely used frameworks for web related development, full-fledged application development,
Hmm.
wherein in Fast API we can simply import the Fast API package in our Python script. We can call the Fast API object, and we can simply write the get put or other operations directly into the methods or into the class that we are using.
Hmm.
Fast API basically uses UVCon gateway as a default gateway, which is a synchronous gateway. And Fast API is largely used into uh, I would say small applications, or let's say I want to create an internal portal wherein I can maintain some kind of data, and I can uh, pull some data from it. So in our case, where we had a database migration from uh, the physical memory to AWS, we created a uh, code base in Fast API, and the front end was in React, and we created multiple methods as well as endpoints to fetch the data from AWS Athena
Okay.
for the end users.
Okay. So REST API is stateful or stateless?
So REST API, I think uh, state. It's not stateless. It has some state. Uh,
So how do you say not stateless?
uh,
State means maintain the session. So
y-
REST API
yeah,
maintaining the session.
yeah. In the RESTful API, because in some cases it works on a synchronous kind of uh, uh, state where it holds the session. Um yeah, maybe due to that reason.
No, REST API is stateless, not stateful. So you can see in the after this interview you will got the answer exactly. So in database, which one you have used?
SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server.
Microsoft SQL Server. So what it means by function and procedure? Why we are using?
So functions. So basically, stored procedures is something where we can execute multiple SQL statements,
Uh-huh.
and either it could return something, or it cannot it might not return anything. But there might be some changes or changes in table, or let's say there are some updates going on in multiple tables in the single stored procedure. We
Uh-huh.
can use that stored procedure commonly within multiple tables in a single execution. Whereas in functions, there might be some inline output, some value as output, uh, or it might be there might be some tabular output as well in functions. But functions we majorly use is to if we have some task which goes on repeatedly, then we can use functions. If in functions could be inbuilt, there are aggregate functions which are inbuilt, or we can create functions, custom functions as we require.